Welcome to the console of the State College Presbyterian Church organ. Our organ is actually the third organ that's been in this sanctuary. It was, when I arrived here 26 years ago, there was a Moeller pipe organ built by M.P. Moeller and Company in Hagerstown, Maryland. It was built here in 1967, and it included 21 ranks of pipes. That's a little over 1,800 pipes. We'll talk about what ranks mean a little bit later. In 2012, we contracted with Walker Technology Company from Zionsville, Pennsylvania, to first of all completely rebuild the organ, take out all the pipes, clean them, fix them, put them back in, re-leather everything. But we also had them build us a brand new digital console and add about 35 digital stops to the organ. So that's why our organ's a hybrid. It has real pipes that play, but at the same time it has a lot of digital sounds, which are very good digital sounds. They're sampled, and they can actually manipulate the sound, each note 28 different ways. So this was built, like I said, in 2012. And you really have to understand that the instrument we call the organ is really a huge instrument. It all starts in the basement, back behind the social hall, with a large blower that provides air and direct current for the whole organ. The blower blows the air up into the pipes and reservoirs, which you can see in the front of the church in the choir loft, and either side of the choir loft. But there are also speakers, and the speakers are designed very well because they work hand in hand with the pipes. And we'll talk about, again, divisions a little bit later, but the speakers are strategically placed so they reinforce the design of the organ. Some of them are in the organ console, or in the organ pipes, the chambers. Some of them are on the front rafter of the sanctuary, way up high. Some are in the back, actually on the other side of the wall towards the balcony. And we also have some pipes back there. We have 5 ranks of pipes back there as well. But again, it all works together very nicely. So this, though, is the console. This is what we're talking about today. And the console is the thing that controls the entire organ. So when I turn on the switch, the blower downstairs goes on. It blows air up into the pipes, and then I tell it what pipes to play from here and how to play them and how loud and how soft. And so this is really the control panel for the whole organ. Okay, let's talk a little bit about divisions on the organ. I promised you we would. A division of organ is several things. First of all, it's a group of pipes, and it's generally a specific location, and generally there's a keyboard that goes with it. So the main division on most organs is called the grate. And that's, as you might expect, is the main division of the organ. It's the largest, the strongest, and it supports everything else. Another division that's typically on the organ is the swell division, and that has, again, a different personality. The swell, first of all, it's called swell because it's in a box, and the front of that box is made with shutters that open and close, so that I can make the pipe sound louder or softer by opening or closing those shutters. And you make the sound swell, so that's why it's called the swell. Another division that we have is the choir division, and that's actually on this organ totally digital, and it's the speakers are on the top of this first rafter, way high. And that has, again, a little bit lighter sound to it as well. Each has its own personality. There's another division that we have called the antiphonal and echo. I lump them together because they both come from the back of the church, from the balcony. And it's the smallest division on the church, and it's usually just for accent. But that's another division. And then finally, of course, the pedal division, and that's operated by the pedals, but its pipes are back behind this wall, back behind the others, and they're very large pipes. And some of them have to be mitered at angles to make them fit in the room. They aren't all straight like the ones that you see out front here. So again, each division has its own location, each division has its own family of pipes, and each division has its own personality. The great, as I said, the greatest division, strongest division. Here's typical great sound. And here's the main part of the swell sound. And there you can hear me opening and closing the swells. The pipes are making the same sound all the time. It's just that the box that they're in is closed up and you can't hear them. The choir hears that sound. So again, that's just a lighter sound, still based on a principal chorus, but still a lighter sound. The antiphonal, I'm not even sure if you can hear. This is what the antiphonal sounds like. And again, that's from the balcony. And then we have some stops that we can add to that on the echo division. The pedals are, again, the biggest pipes, and we can add some loud ones to it too. Usually you hear it like this. So those are all the divisions. Okay, let's talk about keyboards a little bit. You can see we have 3 keyboards on the organ, and the pedal board sort of counts as a keyboard. Each keyboard has 61 keys. That's not as many as a piano. Piano has 88 keys, but because of the way the organ works and the stops that I can add and the coupling that I can do, I can actually have much greater range than the piano does. The pedals there are 32 pedals. They're less pedals because they have to be wider because you play those with your feet and they're much wider than your finger. So the names of each keyboard controls one division of the organ. This is called the great keyboard, and it controls the great division, obviously. Remember we talked about that, being the pipes that you can see. And then this top keyboard controls the swell division, and that lets you, remember it's called swell because you can make it softer and louder. This bottom keyboard is called the choir division, or choir keyboard, and it controls the choir division. And of course the pedals control the pedal division. The antiphonal and echo division are what's called a floating division, and they usually, this is their home on the swell, but I can put them anywhere on the organ and move them around like that. So again, there's essentially one pipe for each key. And they're the same family. Like these are all flute sounds. So each of those was a separate pipe. So a rank of pipes is 61 pipes, one for each key on the organ. And again, for each stop, there's at least one rank of pipes. We're going to talk about stops a little later too. Now, one way to, again, expand on this is to be able to combine the keyboards or divisions. For example, if I'm playing this on the great, and I think, gee, that needs a little more zip to it. But there's nothing else in the great that sounds good, so maybe I can go to the swell and listen to this. Lots of zip there. So I can combine that by hitting the swell to great coupler. So the way the couplers work, the swell and the choir both couple to the great. The swell couples to the choir, everything, including the grate, couples to the pedals. But the grate does not couple to anything else. It's on its own. That's used as the home base where everything else is coupled. And these rocker tabs up here are the couplers, and they tell you which manual to which manual, and they also tell you a number. We're going to talk about that when we talk about stops, and you'll understand that a little bit better then. So that's the way to combine and to add things. And so rather than just, you have a big sound with this, but I can add this to that. Maybe a little reed sound. And then even some more from here. And then I can put on the pedal and put all this stuff down to the pedal. So the coupling makes the organ very flexible, and you can use that a lot to get contrast and to get different colors. Really, organists are colorists in a way, because you use the sound colors to put together to make the sound that you want. And it's different in every song. So that's all about keyboards. Okay, let's talk about stops. Stops are the names of the devices that are used to turn on and off the different pipes. Our organ has draw knobs. You can see they pull out. Can't really see that very well. I'll put a close-up of it. But they just pull out to come on. Some organs have tabs or rocker tabs, like our couplers are tabs. Some organs have those to pull the stops. And again, no two organs are alike. So if you look at pictures of organs in Europe, they're even different than that. I played on an organ that was 500 or 600 years old in Venice, Italy, when my college choir went, and they actually had like levers that you had to push up and down. You really need to put some weight behind them to make them move. So our stops, each stop controls one rank of pipes, with the exception of the mixtures. Mixtures actually combine several ranks of pipes together. For example, this is the mixture on the grate. Listen to it. It's not really designed to be played by itself. It's designed to be played with another stop, like this. And what the mixture does is it includes extra sounds that help reinforce the organ. Usually it makes the individual lines of the polyphony sound come out. It sometimes carries the melody up on top. And usually it's anywhere from 2 to 5 ranks of pipes per stop. So they also sometimes, like the grate here is marked 2-4. And by the way, they're in Roman numerals in addition to the Arabic numerals. So 2 to 4, and if you listen carefully, you can hear them break away. It starts with 4 up here. Here, there, and there. So again, depending on where in the range it is the number of ranks that are there. And again, that's to help carry the melody, to help make polyphony when you're playing more than one part at the same time, to make those come through a little better. So we have a mixture on each division. So when you look at the stops to the organ, and I'll put a close-up up for you, it has the name of the stop that describes the sound, and then it has a number beneath it. And the numbers actually mean feet. They used to put the foot sign on there, they don't anymore. But they're the number of feet. And the most common ones are 8, 4, 2, and sometimes 16, sometimes 1. We don't have any 1s. And the point of that is, first of all, the feet number tells you the length of the longest, approximate length of the longest pipe in that rank. So if you see a stop, like this one says roar flute 8, I'll pull that out. That means when I play middle C here, it's going to sound just like middle C on the piano. Now, the other options are 4, which sounds, listen. So here's 8, here's 4. And you can hear that that's an octave higher because it's short, the pipes are half length. So I can play 2 octaves at once. Or I can add a 2-foot, again, cut it in half. There's three ranks there, 3 octaves. I can also, on the swell, I can add a 16. So here's middle C. Here's a 16-foot stop. Again, that means the longest pipe, the average length or the approximate length of the longest pipe in that rank is going to be 16 feet long. So, can you hear the octaves? So with one finger I can play 4 octaves. That's how you extend the range in the organ further than the piano. Now, in addition to those, the straight numbers and the mixture numbers, there's also some oddballs like 2 2/3 and 1 3/5 and 1 1/3 you'll see. Those are mutations, and those don't play the pitch that you're playing. For example, if I use the middle C key, but I play a 2 2/3, it plays a G, which is actually here. And what that's doing is, again, they don't play by themselves, but when you put them together, you know, this is a lovely flute sound. But if I add the 2 2/3, it changes a little bit, adds a different color to it. Same thing with the 1 1/3. And what that's doing is, when you hear a pitch, you're actually hearing the 2 2/3 and the 1 1/3 above it. They're just not very loud. By emphasizing them and enforcing them on the organ, it gives that different sound. In fact, this is such a popular sound that it's called a cornet, and it's usually used as a solo stop. So you can hear how nicely that sticks out and makes a beautiful sound like that. So, there's some of those on the swell and on the choir, and they can be used that way. So, let's review. The stops are all marked with a name that describes it. Some of them you might understand, like flute. Other ones like Earthsail or Celeste. It's a pretty stop, but it means something to somebody. So that's that, and they each have a name, and to the organist it means something. Just because it says, like I have one here that says tuba, it doesn't necessarily sound like a tuba. It's loud. Wait. No tuba can play that high, but to an organist that knows what that quality of that stop is and what it means. We also talked about the different octaves and how they could be combined, and about mixtures, and I think you're ready on stops then. Let me see what the next page has. Oh, there's more. How can the stops be controlled? Well, obviously you can pull them by hand. It's what's called when you pull them by hand, and they just pop right out. But that takes a long time. For example, let me pull the stops on a typical registration for a hymn. You ready? Here I go. See, that takes quite a while to register, and it would be horrible if you wanted to change quickly. So what we have are a combination action, it's sometimes called. I usually call them pistons. These little buttons under the keyboards all control something, and most of them are numbered, so I can pre-program them and then they're ready to go when I'm ready to go. So if I'm going to play a hymn, I can just go like this. So that's how what the pistons are, and another way to control the stops. Because of this console's digital, I have 12 pistons over here that each can be set for something different that controls the entire organ. And then under each keyboard and for the pedals, I have 6 that control just that division. And with the digital, again, the digital console, there are 9 different levels for each one. So I can just keep going through and set what's 12 times 9. I can set that many different settings for one sitting. Then I have 9 different files, and each of those you can set for that many. So you have, what's that, 108? You have 108 settings, and then I can go to the next file and have 108 more. That's just on the general. So it's really vast. The other thing that's really kind of fun on this organ that I hadn't seen before is I have a next button and a previous button. So if I'm playing this, so I can just very easily move through, and your hands are most likely to be right over here, so you can hit that next button or the previous pretty easily because that's where your hands are. In addition to that, I have a toe stud for each of those, so I can touch it, and I'll show you a close-up of those. So I have a toe stud down here that I can just touch, and it changes automatically. So, oops. So that's another way to control the stop. But we're talking about toe studs, let's talk about that a little bit more. Because in addition to the pistons up here, the general pistons each have a toe stud that I can hit with my foot. And also some of the pedals have them down here, and then there's some toe studs that have specialty things. For example, one of them is there's some of the couplers are here. The great to swell, the great to pedal, swell to pedal, choir to pedal are here. But also some special stops, like the Zimbelstern. I can go like that and just make the Zimbelstern play. The other one of these that one of my favorites is the tutti. You ever heard of a tutti? That's actually Italian for everything or all. And the tutti is marked in red because when you push tutti, you get everything. So I try not to use that very often. And it's interesting that not only the little button lights up, and I get a light over here that lights up, so it's warning you when that's on, so you don't accidentally play it when you're supposed to be playing during the prayer. So that's how the stops are all controlled. Now let's talk about dynamics a little bit. One of the basic ways to change dynamics on the organ is to add stops. So if I'm playing nice, this soft flute on the great, I can add some. by adding different stops to the sound you get, obviously can make it louder or softer. Another way for some of the divisions, particularly the swell division, we talked about this already, is that I can open and close the swell shades. And so if I'm playing on the swell like this, I can use the swell shoe, I'll show you a close-up of that, to, which is also sometimes called an expression pedal, to open and close those shades. And also because, again, this is a digital organ, the digital stops have that for the choir. I can control with another shoe, and the echo organ can be controlled that way. Again, because the organ, the great organ is exposed, it's all out here by itself, you can't change the dynamics of that except by adding or taking away stops. And that's, again, that's a traditional way of organ building. Plus the very practical fact that, again, the swell pipes are playing the same loudness all the time. It's just that the big thick shades close on it and you can't hear it. So I have, again, an advantage of the digitalness. I have indicators over here that go up and down to tell me where I am, whether I have it completely closed or halfway open, because it's kind of hard to tell sometimes when you're in between there. Another expression or increase the volume is called a crescendo pedal. Crescendo is, of course, get louder little by little. And the crescendo pedal really lets you do that. Let me just start with a simple 8-foot flute on the grate. And again, it's one of these shoes, and I'll show you a close-up of it. But as I push it in, it adds stops. Can you hear them? Again, because it's a digital organ, the company or the service techs can come in and hook up a laptop to this, and I think there's 100 and some different levels to that crescendo that they can custom make it. This is a very traditional one, and it works very well. But that's a crescendo pedal, and it's all it's doing is adding the stops, but doing it automatically. Let me look at my list to make sure I've got everything here. Oh, I didn't tell you about one of the best stops of all. Best pistons of all. So if I'm playing along, the general cancel, boom, everything's gone. So if you hear me stumble over a pipe and make a loud squeak during church service, you know I forgot to hit the general cancel. So that very quickly, again, cancels everything and cancels it for sure. Also, since our organ, again, is digital, we have some special capabilities. I'll show you a picture of this, but again, all those different levels to set are there, but also there's a transposer here. So I'm hitting the same note. So if I need to have a song higher, I can. Unfortunately, I can't use it because I have perfect pitch, and if I play a C, I really need to hear that C, or it really throws me off. But for many other organists, that can be very helpful. So if you're even if you can use it even for the hymns, if you want a hymn higher, it goes up and down, so lower. Also, underneath here, there's it's like the back of a computer almost, where you can plug in. And perhaps you've been here on a Sunday morning when I've been gone and couldn't get a substitute, where we've used the MIDI settings to play the organ. And so I can play it, and there's just a little box about that big that has the computer in it that memorizes it and then sends it back. And that's not recording the organ, it's recording the actions of the organ. So for example, when you turn it on, the stops pop out just as if you were going to pull them to play. And then it plays the organ exactly the way whoever recorded or put the song in there did. But it's, again, very handy. Sometimes I use it if I want to hear what something sounds like out there, I can play something and then set it to play and go out. Or earlier this summer, Karen and I sang a duet, and I played the accompaniment on the organ and put it on MIDI, and then we pushed the button and then we sang it together over there. So there's lots of possibilities with that. We can also at some point hook it up to a synthesizer, or there are different types of MIDI contraptions that can be hooked into it that, again, expand the usefulness of the organ. So that's, I think, everything on the console. If I've missed something, come and tell me, and I'd be happy to show you more, or to show you up close what things do. I love to be able to show it off. And I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but part of the reason for doing this is, since we've been recording the services, and Carrie and Jerry have been recording it from different angles, people have said that they've seen more of the organ than they've ever seen before. They were asking what some of the things were. So I thought this might be fun just to explain what some of it is. And again, if you want more, invite me back and I'll be happy to tell more about it. And sometime we should go into the organ chambers and look at the pipes. So thank you very much for sticking around this long. I hope you enjoy the organ.